I'm Lindsey Graham, and I approve this message.
Time now for your evening webcast from Fox Carolina News and Fox Carolina Weather. Weather rates.
Well, this is definitely not a webcast. It is the 6 o'clock news, and thank you so much for joining us here at 6 on Fox Carolina. And we are following breaking news this afternoon. 2 upstate cities have voted to extend their mask mandate, and we can tell you that is now Spartanburg and Greenville extending for 61 more days.
Plus, tensions high as the confirmation hearing for Judge Amy Coney Barrett started today. We'll have the latest from our nation's capital.
And also breaking this afternoon, the city of Belton repealing the city's boil water advisory. Now, the city says the water distribution center was flushed, and DHEC has analyzed some samples sent off, and the water is now safe to drink.
The city was under that boil water advisory for several days after a series of issues from last week. The city says if you have any questions about the advisory, you can call the City of Belton Utilities.
And a developing story here at 6. The Pickens County coroner has identified a victim killed in a crash on Sunday night. It happened on South Cove Road. The victim's been identified as Ava Devine.
And she was a student at Furman University. The president of Furman calling Ava a bright light to anyone who knew her. She released a statement saying in part, quote, "On behalf of the university, I extend our most heartfelt condolences to Ava's family and her many friends and loved ones. There is nothing I can say that will fully express our great sorrow." Meanwhile, deputies in Greenville County say they arrested 2 people in connection to a string of armed robberies, but 1 suspect still on the run. The deputies took Mark Voiles into custody October 1st, and another suspect, Zion Byer, was actually found in Colorado back on October 8th. They're still looking for the other suspect. You see wearing a gray hoodie, a black mask, and black pants. The sheriff's office says the initial complaint began September 18th when they received 3 robbery calls in the early morning hours at the Sphinx on Haywood Road, a home on Old Boiling Springs Road, and a home on Pelham Road. If you have any information about this other suspect, call Crime Stoppers at 23 Crime. And we'll continue to follow the latest on these stories both on air and online.
Now, time for Fox Carolina Weather. Weather rates certified most accurate local forecast.
And we saw those tornado warnings over the weekend from the remnants of Delta here across our area, and one of those locations in Lawrence County. And we caught up with the National Weather Service. They were out there today looking for any damage that could have possibly happened because of a touchdown. This was near Bethany Church Road and Highway 56. But as Kendra told us in the last hour on the 5 o'clock news, there's been no confirmed touchdowns. And we talked about this. I know our sister station in Atlanta reporting at least 7 tornadoes touched down around the metro area. So we really did get pretty fortunate around here, Kendra.
We did. It was just a scary situation for a lot of folks on Saturday night and then on Sunday morning when we had those tornado warnings so early. Woke many of you up at 6 a.m., 6:30 in the morning. But luckily, there have not been any confirmations. It was likely just radar indicated circulations. But unfortunately for the Atlanta area, they did not. They ended up seeing actual tornadoes that were on the ground. Let's take a look at what's out there currently, though. It is clear. We've seen a couple showers to our south that have been moving now away from Greenwood, and we are seeing all of the moisture from Delta move out into the northeast, so it is even causing rain for spots like New York. Temperatures are in the 70s for most spots. It's a pleasant evening. As we go through the next few hours, notice temperatures will cool into the 60s. Watch out for some fog later tonight. Still a lot of moisture at the surface, and it's going to settle out and cause reduced visibility tomorrow morning. Mountain fog expected as well, but we are looking ahead to some really nice feeling days and eventually a big cool down, and that's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Kendra, thanks so much. Greenville City Council, as I mentioned, just voted to extend the mask ordinance within the city for another 61 days. Fox Carolina's Carrie Weimer has more on why officials say wearing a face covering is important.
We have now seen over 150,000 cases of COVID in South Carolina, and while we are encouraged at the numbers, we are also encouraged by the mask wearing and don't want to see the trend go in a direction that we don't want to see it.
City spokesperson Beth Brotherton says since the emergency mask ordinance was put into place back in June, city leaders are confident the results have been positive.
We looked at a DHEC study that said in the municipalities that adopted a mask ordinance, in the 4 weeks after that mask ordinance was adopted, they saw a 46% decrease in the number of cases of COVID-19.
That ordinance says masks are required inside all retail establishments and businesses within city limits where face-to-face interactions occur. City Council will decide tonight if there will be a 61-day extension since the previous temporary ordinance is set to expire. Some want to see it extended.
I think it should wear it for another 60 days because they have too many people visiting the city. They're coming from all over, and you don't know where they're from or what they're bringing in.
Others say it's not necessary.
I understand the mask ordinance. I myself don't think it's really needed. That's my opinion, but I will wear it. If I'm asked to go in a place, I will wear it.
I think all of our businesses can agree it is better to wear masks and keep people safe and stay open rather than having cases increase again and face the possible risk of having to close down or take some sort of drastic measure that would impact business more greatly.
And we're going to dip in live to the Greenville City Council meeting. Now, they are not wearing masks because, of course, in 2020, these are virtual meetings. So we're live streaming this inside our Facebook page as well as inside our Fox Carolina News app if you want to take a listen. But again, we can confirm that the mask ordinance is extended for 61 more days.
Looks like it may have just ended. Not sure, but this one's still going on in Spartanburg. City Council just voting to extend its mask mandate too for another 60 days. You can see a live look happening now. You can tune into that on our Facebook page too. And Clemson University ramping up testing to help prevent the spread. According to the university's president's blog, I should say. Starting next week, all on-campus residents will be tested on a weekly basis, in addition to some random testing for those who live off campus. President Clements says he understands it's an inconvenience to students, but says they've moved away from that more invasive deep nasal testing and switched to other methods.
Well, prisons in South Carolina taking extra measures to try and keep inmates safe and prevent the spread of COVID-19. The Department of Corrections says they'll spend nearly $1 million on air ionizers to keep the ventilation system for the air conditioning and heating systems. These ionizers work by making the coronavirus particles heavier so they can get rid of them faster. More than 30 inmates who have contracted the disease have died since the outbreak began. And DHEC putting out new numbers today. 584 new cases reported this afternoon, bringing the total to 152,242. 7 new deaths were reported today, making the death toll 3,355. The percent positive stands at 9.1%.
And the latest from Washington, the Supreme Court hearings for Judge Amy Coney Barrett kicked off today, where she addressed the Judiciary Committee and Americans across the country.
Now, these hearings come a little more than 3 weeks before Election Days, 21 days away, and Steve Nannis has the highlights from day one.
Senator Kennedy.
The committee vote may be all but certain.
Unless something really dramatic happens, all Republicans will vote yes and all Democrats will vote no.
But the political stakes on Capitol Hill this week couldn't be greater as senators hear directly from President Donald Trump's Supreme Court pick, Judge Amy Coney Barrett.
If confirmed, it would be the honor of a lifetime to serve alongside the Chief Justice and 7 Associate Justices.
The controversial nomination hearing kicking off just 22 days before the election and in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic. Democrats have argued unsuccessfully the committee should wait.
I believe we should not be moving forward on this nomination.
But Republicans have pressed on, and now Barrett's in the spotlight, with Democrats focusing on the president's efforts to end Obamacare.
He wants his Supreme Court and this nominee to join him in eliminating the Affordable Care Act.
And Republicans touting Barrett's qualifications.
Judge Barrett brings impeccable credentials, a judicial temperament. and a faithfulness to the law.
Tuesday and Wednesday, we will see questions directly from the senators in what will likely include some of the most contentious moments.
I believe Americans of all backgrounds deserve an independent Supreme Court that interprets our Constitution and laws as they are written. And I believe I can serve my country by playing that role.
In Washington, I'm Steve Nannis.
Coming up here at 6, we are getting a look from Greenville County Schools and how they're getting ready to send elementary school students back to class 5 days a week.
Plus, Jamie Harrison breaking records. How much money he's raised as he attempts to unseat Senator Lindsey Graham.
I love golf, and I'm fine with it on Fox.
Welcome back. Fox Carolina is the school station. Greenville County school officials preparing to get hundreds of plexiglass dividers to help protect elementary students as they go back to in-person learning 5 days a week. Now, these dividers mean students won't have to stay 6 feet apart. It's a nearly $5 million investment from the state into Greenville County schools. Now, Spartanburg County School District 3 just released its updated schedule this afternoon. This week, 4K in kindergarten in school 5 days a week. Grades 6 through 12 in the hybrid model with Group A and B will alternate Fridays in school. And as of now, the plan is to remain the same for the next week. It's in an effort to move towards that full-time in-person learning. And a developing story today, sporadic power outages along a major road in Greenville County appear to be fixed.
Here's Fox Carolina's Michelle Zhu, who spoke to some businesses who took a pretty big impact from the outage.
For more than 24 hours, businesses were on edge here in the plaza on Pelham Road. The lights were out from the southbound exit to about a quarter mile down Pelham Road across 3 intersections. The area in complete darkness for most of the morning as utility workers could be seen attempting to restore power. Duke Energy reported outages affecting over 1,300 customers, but we saw the power come back around 6:30 a.m. Greg Terry, the owner of Duck Donuts, says he got word his building was without electricity as early as 1 a.m. Sunday, forcing them to throw out perishable items and open later than usual this morning.
We had come in to discard any perishable items. We went and repurchased those items thinking the power would remain on. Came in this morning, power was back off. I don't think it's been off for long.
Eggs Up Grill also took a hit from the outage. Managers made the decision to close all day Sunday, their most busy day, causing them to lose $5,000 to $6,000 in sales.
People are still calling, asking if we're open, if we got power, and well, this is going to help a lot. People to know that we are open and we are here.
Now businesses are back up and running and happy to receive customers once again, but we are monitoring this situation. You can stick with Fox Carolina for the very latest. Reporting in Greenville, Michelle Zhu, Fox Carolina News.
And this is a look at the darkness from our tower cam on Pelham Road. Again, this is the moment those lights went out. Kind of eerie to see a car driving down Pelham with no traffic lights. But again, all the power is back up, and I'm sure those business owners still dealing with some headaches. So I know some of the produce had to be thrown out from some of the local grocery stores. But the sun is out today, the lights are back on, and we have a beautiful sunset shaping up here at 6:15.
Sure do.
Oh, we love this scene behind me, and it's just kind of a beacon of hope after such incredibly nasty weather over the weekend. Some of you having to deal with tornado warnings, others just pesky rain. Either way, it has not been a fun way to spend your Saturday and Sunday. We're looking toward some really pretty fall weather coming, and it's going to get cooler too. On Tuesday, 80 degrees. So it's going to be very warm to start the week. We'll see a progression toward much cooler weather. In fact, a big drop in temperatures by Saturday, mid-60s ahead. So it's going to feel pretty, at least in my opinion, pretty nice outside. 78 for Greenville, 73 over in Spartanburg. So it is in the 70s to around 80 degrees across northeast Georgia. Low 70s, even some 60s up in western North Carolina. And Fox Radar 3D is mostly clear. We had a couple showers try to develop in the southern part of the upstate, and mountains looking pretty good tonight. Now we will have a little bit of fog to contend with, so watch out for that late tonight as we have some moisture that's left over. It's all going to settle out near the ground. So low 60s on the way, and just take your time through that fog. Upper 50s expected in western North Carolina. Hour by hour into your Tuesday, it's going to be very warm. Highs in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees in the upstate, but notice the pretty big drop between 5 and 7. Some drier air will make its way in, so that's going to mean that evenings will cool down faster. We'll have chillier overnights and a might as well just call it cold overnight by Friday into Saturday. So here's a look. We've got our first cold front coming through, so it's going to help to make things feel pretty nice into midweek. Still mild, though. You won't notice a drastic drop in temperatures at all. And then here's our second front. It gets here Thursday. Once it finally settles to the south, it will be feeling oh so much like fall. I'll show you those temperatures. In fact, this is what we're going to experience Friday night. Maybe the coldest night of the season so far. 30s and 40s across the area. We are also watching the tropics after, of course, Delta wreaked havoc across Louisiana and even brought tornado warnings into our area. We're watching another tropical wave, but it's in the central Atlantic. No signs that it's going to impact the U.S. at this point, but something that we're keeping a close eye on as this ridiculous hurricane season continues. As we look ahead, we'll have warm days Tuesday and Wednesday. It's going to feel good midweek, though, as the humidity levels drop. Overnight lows in the 40s and 50s. Then this weekend, that's when we'll see 60s, much more typical of November, and overnight lows in the 30s and 40s. Of course, you can always download the Fox Carolina app for much more weather information when you're on the go.
Kendra, thank you. We're talking You Decide now. South Carolina Senate race breaking records and making national headlines.
Democratic candidate Jamie Harrison's campaign says he raised $57 million in the last quarter as he works to unseat Republican Lindsey Graham. This is the largest single quarter haul by any candidate in U.S. Senate history. Harrison has raised a total of $86 million so far in this election cycle. Now, Graham has not come out and said how much he has fundraised, but he's went on air and several networks saying that Harrison is out campaign funding him. The latest polls show the two remain, though, neck and neck ahead of the election, which is only 21 days away. Meanwhile, voters in Georgia can begin casting their ballots for the upcoming presidential election. Those wanting to take part in early voting have from now until October 30th, but dates may vary based on where you live. All you will need to bring is some type of photo ID. People wishing to vote by mail will have to request a ballot by October 30th, and all ballots must be in by Election Day, which is November 3rd.
And in a late night decision, a federal judge rejecting efforts to throw out Georgia's touchscreen voting machines. Activists have pushed the state to switch to hand-marked ballots, citing security concerns with that new system. The judge says she understands the concerns, but believes it's too late to make such a change without causing mass confusion. The new system, similar to the one here in South Carolina, where voters will use a touch screen to cast their ballot before printing out a hard copy.
Well, coming up, a child leads police on a chase involving a school bus. How it all ended, coming up.
Closed captioning sponsored by Bojangles. It's Bo time.
Kick off the season with fall intensity of Greer.
Well, sad news out of Columbia, where we have now learned that a body found over the weekend at the Vulcan Material Company quarry is that of a USC sophomore, Samuel London.
Yeah, he went missing early Saturday morning while walking home with several friends in the Olympia Granby area. He can actually be seen walking on the security cameras shortly before he disappeared. Now, the Richland County Sheriff's Department used the agency's plane, aerial drones, and K-9 units in the search. The Columbia Fire Department actually found his body in bushes around 5 o'clock yesterday.
And the university released a statement saying, in part, quote, "This morning we received confirmation from the Richland County Coroner's Office of the death of one of our students over the weekend, a junior, Sam London. Our deepest sympathies and heartfelt prayers are with Sam's family and friends as they grieve his loss." We have continuing coverage of this heartbreaking story inside our free Fox Carolina News app. Listen to this. Police in Baton Rouge, Louisiana say an 11-year-old led them on a chase involving that school bus Sunday afternoon. They say he saw the school bus at a nearby school, jumped in, figured out how to get it started, and then led them on that chase that ended near this woman's home.
Thank goodness he was okay. He was safe. But it was not your typical Sunday afternoon occurrence for sure. So we're blessed in that it didn't do any more damage than what it did.
In addition to a motor theft vehicle charge, that 11-year-old's also charged with aggravated flight, damage to property, and assault. Well, Apple expected to introduce a new line of iPhones tomorrow after weeks of delays due to COVID-19. There are numerous reports out today that say Apple will unveil 4 new iPhones ranging in sizes up to 6.7 inches, which would be its largest screen yet. The invitation to the virtual event uses the phrase high speed, which hints that the new models take advantage of the emerging 5G wireless network. The launch could mean that Apple is joining the 5G revolution in a very large way, although the high-speed networks are still being installed nationwide. They're not everywhere yet. No word yet on the pricing for these new iPhones, but we'll all learn tomorrow.
And some clothing brands copying QVC and HSN amid the pandemic. The Wall Street Journal says Tommy Hilfiger is live streaming shows with influencers talking about fashion. Hilfiger and other brands like Levi's hoping shoppers will tune in to those online events to watch models and more talk about the brand's clothes. Some researchers predict live stream shopping events could generate $25 billion in sales by 2023.
Literally, 2020 is changing everything.
Everything. And there's a career now called influencer, like someone that's actually someone's job now, which is kind of amazing.
It is.
Well, I like to think that I'm a weather influencer of sorts, but not really. I just try to tell you what it's going to do. And we are looking ahead to some very beautiful weather this week. A few clouds on Tuesday or Tuesday morning. By the afternoon should clear right around 80 degrees. And then we'll have some mild temperatures through midweek. It gets cooler this weekend. Might even see our first frost for parts of the mountains. Even the upstate could see a little bit. So we will keep you posted. But until then, it's going to be a little bit on the warm side.
Thanks so much for joining us here on the 6 o'clock news. We'll see you back here tonight for a very late edition of the 10 o'clock news, thanks to baseball.